everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm currently a PM at Microsoft and I make videos about my PM learnings and experiences every week. In the last video, we talked about how you can communicate with your managers better, and I covered two essential parts of that. One is you need to know your manager, both work-related as well as work style related. And the second part is you need to respect his time. In this video, I'd like to share some practical tips that could help you communicate with your managers even better. I'm going to cover this by a few suggestions of don'ts and do's. Don'ts. That was funny. Okay, that's enough. Let's get started. The first common mistake people make when they communicate with their managers is they tend to hold those potential issues and problems to themselves, and they try to resolve those issues without letting their managers know in advance. If they're lucky, they may get those issues resolved by themselves, but if they are not, their managers will usually be surprised by the end. So the first don't I'd like to share with you is don't surprise your manager. They need to know the issues and problems in advance so that they can take actions in time to eliminate the impact. How can we make it right? Here are a few tips. One is making sure you give your manager heads up about potential risks, heads up about potential escalations or potential problems. For example, you are following up on a project that you know by 80% of the chance the project will be delayed. Then you'd better send an email to your manager and tell him that there is a chance the project might be delayed, and tell him why and here are some potential impacts. Just let him know and tell him that you are actively following up on this and will keep him posted on updates. In this case, since you have given him the heads up, he will be prepared. He can either reserve some more buffers for the team in external communications, or he will say how he can help the team to speed things up. Here is another example. If you are working with another team and there is an issue running very hot, you sensed that the other team might escalate the issue to your manager. In this case, you'd better give your manager a heads up and share more background and context of what you did and why you did that. And you can even ask for his suggestions of how to deal with this kind of situation. When the escalation really happens, your manager have known enough details and he can support you or potentially help you push back some nonsense here. The second tip of don't surprise your manager is to share regular updates. I mentioned this in my last video that some managers may prefer frequent updates and some may not. But a common approach of doing this is to set up a regular updates cadence when you start a project. You can tell your manager, I'm going to share weekly updates for this project. How do you think? Do you think we should reduce the frequency or do you think we should increase it? After setting it up, you can then note the product updates in either a shared note or send emails to your manager. He may or may not read emails you send, but at least he will glance at it and he knows that you are sharing updates and he knows you will tell him if anything goes wrong. The second common mistake I see from people is they only bring problems to their manager. Some may ask, you just tell us to give my manager heads up about the potential issues. Why you are telling us right now, don't only bring problems to my manager? Let me explain. First, remember this. Your manager is there to give you advice and suggestions and to support you when you need help, to coach you how to deal with some tough situations and to inspire you how you can do your work better. But he's not there to do the work for you. That's why when you share a problem with your manager, you also want to share your thoughts and your potential solutions with him as well. You need to show him that you have explored some potential solutions and let him know that you are doing your part of the work actively. Let's again take the project delay as an example. You know that the project will be delayed for 4 weeks. You also know that your team has committed to the partner team that the project will be on time. In this case, what you should do? Instead of asking your manager to tell you what to do, a better way of doing this is to explore a few options and then share those options with your manager and ask for his advice. For example, you can first talk with the partner team and say if they're okay to accept a 4-week delay. If it is acceptable, then it's simple. You can just tell your manager that the project will be delayed by 4 weeks, but the partner team is okay with that. You have communicated with them. Or if they say no, this is not acceptable, then you may want to check with your engineer team and see if anything else can be cut to speed things up. After this, you may have a few features at hand to deprioritize. And when you communicate with your manager, you can just say, I know the project will be delayed and the partner team won't accept that. I have communicated with them. However, we do have a few other features that we are doing right now and can be deprioritized. If we deprioritize one of them, we should be able to catch the timeline. In this case, it will be easier for your manager to give you some advice about the priority and what you should do next. To summarize, the second don't is don't only bring problems, and the second do is bring in problems with your thoughts and potential solutions so that your manager can give you advice easily. The third common mistake I see from people, even for myself, is you are afraid of saying no to your manager. Always saying yes in your career, especially to your manager, can cause a lot of potential issues. For example, it can cause you overcommit something that you cannot deliver, and potentially lose the trust from your manager if you cannot deliver as committed. It can also cause you to rush the work you overcommitted, but you will lose the quality part of that. Furthermore, you may sacrifice your personal life to work because you are always saying yes. I was also kind of a yes person when I started my career 6 years ago. Luckily, my manager was good enough to recognize that. Even after I said yes to some tasks he assigned to me, he still checked if I have any concerns. I learned my lesson from a designer in our team. It was a design review meeting and both the designer and his manager were in the meeting. In that meeting, the product manager asked the designer to present his new design in this week's weekly design review meeting. At that time, the design is still half-baked and it still needs some time to tune. The designer said, no, we're not ready, but we should be able to share that in the next week or the week after. It might sound natural to you, but I was still at the early stage of my career, and I was shocked in that meeting. If I was the designer, I could imagine the answer I would give is yes, and then I was going to just burn my midnight oil and get things done. But the result of that, it's either to sacrifice my personal time, or potentially because I was working very late at night, the work is not as good quality as it can be. One thing to note here is that this no is not just a simple no. It is a no with some reasons, with the potential next steps, and with the new estimated time. To summarize, the third don't is always saying yes to your manager, and the do here is saying no when you think you are not ready, but at the same time share some background and the new estimated time. The fourth common mistake I see from people in their communication is not actionable. This can be two ways. When your manager assigns a task to you, you'd better ask some clarification questions to make sure you understand what's the delivery result your manager is expecting. Don't just leave with some ambiguous understanding of what he would like you to do. When you need help from your manager, also make sure you are specific about what you need from him and when. For example, you have written a document that you'd like your manager to review. You can say, hi manager, here is a scenario document I wrote for the new feature. Can you please take a look and let me know your thoughts? This might be okay, but not efficient enough. To make it better, you can say, hi manager, here is the scenario document I wrote for the new feature. We'd like to review this scenario document in this Friday meeting. Can you please review it and let me know your thoughts before Thursday morning? Specifically, I need your feedback on the priority part. Please take a look and let me know if the current priority list looks good to you. The later one is more specific. It describes what exactly you expect your manager to do and when. Whereas the first one totally depends on your manager, you may not get the exactly you need from him. In fact, being specific and making sure it is actionable is also one of the common best practices in email communication as well, especially when you are asking for someone's help. The more specific you can be with your message, the better action and result you may get from the other people. The last part, don't lie. It is very hard to build trust between you and your manager, but it is very easy to ruin it. There's a saying goes that if you lie one time, you will probably need another 100 lies to cover that up. Especially about work, you don't know what other connections your manager has and you don't know which kind of message source he has. If you lie to him about your work, then you need to be prepared that he will find out the truth sooner or later. When he finds out the truth, you will completely lose trust from him, which is the worst thing I can think of for your career. I might be an idealism here, but I think every company needs to build a safe environment for their employees and managers to be honest and open. It is very important for everyone to learn from their mistakes and improve. If I find myself have to lie to cover my mistakes up, then I don't think that company is right for me. We all massage our messages, but that's different from telling a lie. That's it. I hope you find the video helpful to you. If you like my contents, please give me a thumb up. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment below so I can try to address them in my future videos. I'm currently a PM at Microsoft and I make videos about my PM learnings and experiences every week. Subscribe so you don't miss my future videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye! For your career. That's it. I hope you. One more time.